Welcome to another episode of Coder Conversations. Today we have Meta Software Engineer Nguyen Dao. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to have you on. So, just to get things started, you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, so my name is Nguyen, and I come from Vietnam. Arrived in the U.S. about 10 years ago, almost 11 now. And I started in Arizona. My family was there. Went to Arizona State University, got a bachelor in computer science, and then started working for GM as my first job as a software engineer. And then after a while, I moved over to Ticketmaster right when the pandemic hit. So they couldn't sell any ticket for live event.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, I remember
that,
that.
that was not a good time. And so I and my team ended up being laid off. So I had to quickly find another job. So it took me 1 month to get a contract gig with USAA. And
Oh, that's
then
not bad. Only a month.
yeah, that the market was not too bad back then.
Not
So
like it is now.
not like it is now at all.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's really tough right now for people to break in.
Yeah, so it took me for like 8 months until I get converted to full time there, and then after 2 years, and failing a promotion just because I didn't have enough year in the industry just yet, despite contributing like a majority in their first launch of a new business product that in a decade. So they started offering a small business insurance, which was the product. And so I started looking around and got an email from a recruiter from Meta and also some other company at the time. So I interviewed around and ultimately decided to join Meta. And right before they start freezing hiring. So my batch was the last batch that got in that year, and then the layoffs start happening right after that. So
Right. But you were safe from those?
yeah, so there was two like big round of just random people getting picked, and then my team actually got impacted on the org level layoff, just team redundancy
Right.
rounds. So the team got cut, but we were offered a chance to re-interview for a full loop to move to another team. So or take a severance package. And the job market was so bad. I didn't see anyone take the other option unless they didn't pass the interview round. So
Right.
yeah, we
Now, what was the interview process like with Meta?
so for a full loop, if I remember correctly, there's two rounds of technical coding interview and um, one round of system design.
Is that like lead code style interviewing?
Yeah, for the coding one, so each round would be one easy and one medium question, lead code style. Some interviews use two mediums as well. There's really no standard there, but you're expected to go through them within
Yeah.
45 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, like just speaking about FANG companies, I interviewed with Amazon, and
Hmm.
the first interview, yeah, was a technical interview. There was like leak code type of questions on it, and it was
Yeah.
quite difficult.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like you kind of have to get lucky. Like do enough problems so you can cover like a broad cases of like types of problem, and then just hope you get lucky that it falls into the one.
Yeah, hope you're presented with a problem that you've done before, or something that's like, an algorithm that's similar enough to something that you've worked on, or a data structure,
Yeah.
etc.
So yeah, how did you actually prepare for the meta interview?
Yeah, for the first like the first time, like when I first joined the company, I didn't prepare that much because I was still like full time employed. So I've had experience like preparing for them before, but I didn't spend too much time on it. But luckily, the problems were just the one that I was familiar with. Because at that time, if I had gotten like a question about tree or try or graph question, I wouldn't have know how to solve them at the time. But then on the second full loop around where I had to keep my job, I spent much more time preparing for that one.
Right.
Nice. So what languages are you actually using at Meta?
So for the backend, it's mostly a flavor of PHP. They call it Hack. They have some like additional syntax and library that they tag on top of PHP.
Right.
And then front end is mostly React.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty standard languages. So
Mhm.
like compared to the other companies you worked at, was the work at Meta significantly more difficult, or was it about the same?
I would say so. Yeah. The it's like the problem space doesn't change much, but the complexity of the system is definitely a step up from what I've been used to. Because there's so many infrastructure that's already built in at Meta, and you kind of have to link them all together to have a coherent system that can support whatever product that you're working on. So there's layers of abstraction on top of each other. This is
Oh
something.
wow.
Yes,
Sounds pretty complex.
yeah. It takes a while to get used to all the tools.
How did you
And
learn to manage that complexity, especially coming in new?
was that especially coming in new?
Yeah, like when you first arrived at the company, you have this massively complex code base. Like, how did you manage to learn the code base without getting overwhelmed?
Yeah, I don't think anyone can do it without feeling overwhelmed. But we do. Like fortunately, I do have a lot of good teammates that is more senior and are willing to help out. But still,
That's great, because that's rare. Like when I was working in programming, the company I was at, I said, "Well, where's the training? Where's the mentorship?" And they're
yeah.
like, "Oh, we can't take our senior developer off of his work, off of his project." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm a junior developer. I need training. I need development to move me along in my career." And they just, they didn't have any of it. So no, that's great to hear that you had people on your team who were willing to look out for you and like help you out a little bit.
Yeah, I think like um, people willing to help is one thing, but if they have capacity to help is another. Like I think
Right.
most people are willing to help, but I was just about to get to that point. Like most of them were willing to help, but they didn't have a lot of capacity to spare. So even though it was like a supportive environment, you still are expected to kind of swim by yourself at that at the
So they still expected you to do a lot of the work on your own, it sounds
Yeah,
like.
because
Yeah.
they yeah, there's a lot of documentation, but the quality of them varies a lot. Like some tools are very well documented, and others are just left to be there because one team took over the product and then another jump in, and then they have another team jump in, and it kind of get neglected. So whenever you run into that, that's when you start reaching out for help, because otherwise there's no other way, right?
Yeah. Now I can understand that. And then what was your main project that you were working on or are working on, if you can speak to that?
Yeah. So I've been on a couple since I joined. One was for initiatives, which are just basically tasks that a salesperson can make, either create it or get created by their manager and pushed down to them, and they can use that to track their progress on how well they're doing, how much value they're delivering to the company. So that's one system. That was the first
That
one.
was for the sales team.
Yeah, for the sales team. So
Okay.
we have like a pretty extensive sales team that goes and get into contact with small business and get them to incentivize them to do advertisement with Meta.
Right. Well, I figure, yeah, ads for small
Mhm.
businesses, right? That must be a large portion of the income that the company's taking in, right?
Oh yeah, it's one of the main source of income, that's funding all the other projects.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like what Google. Their main thing is pay per click ads, just
Right.
from businesses of all different sizes.
Yeah, they were really struggling when Apple was introducing that stop tracking third-party API tracking privacy policy that Apple implemented for the device, and then Apple turns around and do exactly the same thing that they
Yeah,
they're
that's
preventing other company to do. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's funny.
So like we often hear like a company like Amazon is kind of a pressure cooker. You're always under pressure to perform.
Hmm.
Is it similar to that at Meta? Like you're always under pressure to make huge contributions.
There's definitely been a shift since the layoffs happened. I think the vibe was much more chill before then, and now that like a significant portion of the workforce has been reduced, so everyone else is to pick up the tab on whatever's left and keep running at the same pace when we had the original workforce. So there's a lot more pressure,
So
I would say.
yeah, so you're having to take on jobs of people like that they eliminated, and
Right.
now that job still needs to get done.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, that's rough.
Do
So
you
yeah, I would say it's more now, but I mean, I don't know what it's like at Amazon, but I've heard stories, and it hasn't gotten to that point just yet.
That's good.
is do you actually have to are you mandated to return to office or are you still working remotely?
I'm one of the rare breed that is still fully remote. So I joined as a remote hire, so I get to keep the status, but everyone else had to convert back to the status before they went to remote. So
Oh wow,
yeah,
you got lucky.
I indeed I feel very lucky.
It's great to hear.
That's
Yeah, it's a blessing and also a curse because I'm just by myself here, and most of my
Right.
time is in like in the office. A lot of conversation is happening like in person. I kind of have to really pester the rest of them to get the information and get the insights on decisions that's going on.
Do you
Yeah, I
feel like
imagine that in that kind of scenario, you're missing a lot of the key things that people are talking about because they're there in the office
Yeah,
and you're just not, you're not physically there. So it could probably be tough to take in like all the extra information that might be being
yeah,
passed around the office.
yeah. Like from time to time, we get together on an offsite in the office, so everyone fly in to meet each other. And I was surprised on the amount of like conversation that happens even just within the lunchtime. Like a lot of decisions get made just having lunch with each
Just
other.
over lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's tough. That's tough being remote to really like feed into the company culture or
Mhm.
feel like there is a strong company culture while still being remote. I think a lot of companies struggle with, figuring that out.
Yeah, and of course that impact your performance as well, right? You get kind of siloed in, and it takes a little bit more. Well, I don't know if it's a little or a lot, but definitely more effort to just stay up to date with everything.
Yeah, I know when I was working in programming, the company, I interned for a while
Mm-hmm.
at a cryptocurrency company. I was
Oh.
there for I don't know 6 to 9 months, and
Mm-hmm.
then I got my first job in tech, and that's the one where I said, there was no mentorship, there was no training. I asked them, okay, do you guys have any training? They're like, oh, we don't really have that kind of training, and we can't really take the time to teach you. So I ended up quitting after 2 weeks and I moved over to technical recruiting, which I did that for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate, you
Mm-hmm.
land up, yeah, you land in these scenarios where there's no mentorship, there's no help, and it's just like you're out on an island alone.
Yeah, it's really like the luck of the draw. Well, whatever team you get put into, it
Like I
dictates.
feel like a bigger company would have had more like thought out. Oh, okay, we're bringing this guy on. He's junior. Let's have him focus on task A, B, and C, as opposed to just throwing me the entire code base and saying, "Hey, we need you to build out these features," and then
Yeah,
just expecting me to like be able to figure it out as a junior. It was unrealistic. Their expectations were unrealistic at the time.
yeah, it's definitely if that's what expected to be done, then you can't really like function in that environment.
Yeah, so no, it didn't. It didn't work out for me. I quit after 2 weeks, and I kind of never looked back. And now I'm a musician, so now I'm doing music stuff again, which
I see.
which is nice. Nice change of pace, to get back to it. But yeah, I was working in tech for a couple of years.
I think I see you play the drum.
Oh, you saw some of my videos?
Yeah,
What'd you think?
that's great, man. I don't know enough about drum to appreciate all that you do, but it certainly sound nice.
Which videos did you check out? Do you remember?
I can't tell you right now.
Because I mean, some of my stuff is jazz, some of it's jazz fusion,
Hmm.
some of it's psychedelic rock, some of it's yeah. That's what a lot of it is: jazz fusion. A lot of the videos.
Yeah, I try to teach myself piano from YouTube.
Yeah, no, piano. I've tried the same. Piano's tough.
Really? I feel like it's a little easier because it's also just keyboards that you hit with your finger and it makes certain sounds. So
Yeah,
it does translate a little bit to working with computers for me. Because drums,
Yeah, I
there's
don't know.
a
Like,
lot of rhythm.
I've tried learning a couple different instruments. I play acoustic guitar. I used to write a lot when certain bands I was in. I used to co-write songs, but the
Mhm.
drums always just kind of came naturally to me. You know, within I'd
Nice.
say 2 years. Like I started when I was 14, and
Mm,
by the time I was 16, I was already playing in like four different bands. My
nice.
skill level had increased like exponentially. And then from there, I just got better and better until now. I guess I've kind of leveled off a little bit, but I
Mm.
still know that there's room to improve. There's still, like, I play 2 hours a day right now.
All right. But are you a musician full time or what?
Well, I'm getting back into it. So I used to be
Yeah.
a session musician in Los Angeles. So I would,
Mhm.
do live gigs, studio gigs. I'm now back in Long Island, New York, near my
Mm.
family. My family's in New York, so I wanted to come back home basically. And now I've been teaching again. I'm teaching drums and
Nice.
trying to get back into session work, but it's highly competitive, and you have to know people who own studios, and
Mm.
it's not the easiest thing to get drum session work.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of people with musical background, and I've always been wondering, like, how hard is it to support yourself, uh, at least
It's very
financially.
difficult. Yeah, usually you have to have like a side hustle or like
Hmm.
a plan B. I mean, I have met musicians where all their money's coming from music, but
Right.
even in LA, that's like pretty rare to meet
Mm.
someone where like that's all they do. But we've had some composers on our show that all they do is compose for a living. So
Mm.
it's pretty impressive. I think you have to be really hungry when it comes to the music stuff.
Yeah, because I do have a small daughter here, and whenever the topic of career guiding comes up, we're not sure what to do with all the
Yeah,
like development nowadays. Like software is not even safe anymore.
I know. Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yeah, because I, when I come to America, like the most of the career advice was coming from the college advisor that I was talking with, and that's how I decided the my career path here.
Yeah. So can you explain for our listeners a little bit what your college was like?
So I started at a community college in Arizona, and I only had to take a test to see which class I can start taking, and
Yeah.
then I start taking those. And they have a transfer program to the the state of Arizona. So I completed 2 years in the community college and transfer the other 2 years to the university and get my bachelor there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I didn't know about student loan at the time, but I'm glad that was the path that I took because my student loan was substantially less than my peers.
Yeah. No, I can imagine that. Kevin, did you have any questions?
No, I think that's everything.
I guess what I would ask is, what advice would you give to the entry level guys and girls that are trying to break into FANG companies? Like, what's one of the main tips that you would give them?
Hmm. Fan company is a little different than other companies, I would say, because they are very focused on the technical side, at least for the interview loops. like from my experience interviewing with other companies that are not FANG, they are much less focused on the technical side, and they focus more on the behavioral side and how you would work within the team.
Right.
And so preparing for lead code is one of the more significant part if you are aiming for FANG.
Yeah, lead code is. Yeah, I was always told that for FANG, like they lean heavily on the lead code algorithms and data structures.
Yeah. So yeah, get yourself as familiar with that as you can if you want, if you're aiming for FANG companies, and then also get some experience under your belt so you can talk about it. Because they do also have a behavioral round, and that's more to decide on the level that you will be assigned in. Because if you pass
Right.
the technical round, then there should be a spot for you. If it's just gonna decide on your level once the behavioral round comes around.
So they just kind of want to figure out like what team to place you on, basically.
Yeah, so right now I don't think you get much choice in teams anymore. There used to be a lot of flexibility when you join the company, and you can like browse around for teams that you like to join. But I think nowadays most positions are assigned to specific teams that have the headcount to hire.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Are you going to get involved in any of the virtual reality stuff at Meta?
Oh, that was my original goal for joining Meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping I'll be able to transfer to a VR team after a while, but I don't know how realistic is that goal anymore right now.
Yeah. Well, what if the higher ups told you when you've asked, like, hey, I kind of want to get on the VR team?
It would really depend on if there's any VR team that have the budget for headcounts, and
Right.
most budget now are going to like very high level research base. If it comes to that area, like they probably have enough lower level software engineers.
I see.
Yeah. But they for other teams like the monetization organization here, they are hiring pretty aggressively right now because that's one of the area that they are trying to invest into.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Kevin, did you have any other questions?
No, I think that's it for me.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I always like to ask for, the small fish out there, the entry level people, like
Hmm.
what's the main thing that they can do to propel themselves in their career? What's the main thing that they can prepare themselves for? It sounds like you're saying with FANG, okay, hit lead code pretty hard, start to get good at that, and
Hmm.
then maybe you'll have a shot.
Yeah, but for other companies, I would say focus more on your experience developing an application. So I think
Yeah, I mean, how important is the portfolio?
um, having at least one is important, I guess, because it does show your experience that you are claiming to have.
So
And
like at least one fully fleshed out GitHub project would be required.
yeah, at least that it depends. I
Like full stack, or like are they looking for people who only focus on the front end or only focus on databases?
yeah, I was thinking about that because I don't think there's a lot of like fully specialized positions anymore because there used to be like enough space for people to just specialize in just front end or back end.
Right.
But I've been seeing the expectation to start like carrying yourself across the stack and just delivering features without like boundaries like that. So I guess full stack would be more like something that companies are looking for right now.
Yeah, I know, like, because I went to a coding boot camp and I learned Java Spring.
Mm-hmm.
And, the thing was, well, right before I was about to graduate from the program, I was talking to my instructor and I was like, what do you think I should do in terms of like applying for jobs? He said, well, like, there's probably not a lot of entry level Java openings right now.
Mm.
There's way more JavaScript. So he basically said, so I had spent all this time at school learning Java. Now he's saying, okay, go out and learn JavaScript, go learn React, go learn Angular. I mean, so I did. I
Yeah.
went and learned those and then got a job doing React. But, I just felt like kind of really let down by the school because it's like I spent all this money and all these hours on
Mm.
Java. And then it turns out like, there's no entry level Java positions. There's only like mid and senior level roles. So I was forced to learn JavaScript, which I ended up liking JavaScript better than Java.
Mm-hmm.
Java is really, I guess people, it's like a beast of a language. And
Yeah, Java can be very verbose.
it can be very difficult, very complex, like the kind of thing like, one semicolon is in the wrong space and the whole program crashes.
Yeah, I think they've gotten better with all the just-in-time compiler that catching those nowadays. But I see what you mean. But
Right.
there's a lot of concepts that you can carry over learning a new language. So hopefully it wasn't like a total wash for you.
No, I didn't feel like it was. Like a lot of the principles are still the same in
Mm-hmm.
different languages. I just felt like JavaScript, you could do more with less code.
Oh
Like
yeah,
even in
definitely.
like if we're talking about like leak code problems, like the answer in JavaScript might be like one line long, 2 lines long, and the Java one would be like, 30 lines of code. So I definitely noticed that right off the bat with leak code, like, okay, JavaScript's way easier if we're just talking about like the size of the problems.
Yeah, I think like when Java was developed, like developer experience is not a very considered aspect. But nowadays, like when people develop languages, they tend to focus on the developer experience a lot more.
Right. As opposed to like a C++, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the lower you go down to on the stack, like the more freedom and performance you'll be able to squeeze out. But you rarely get to that point if you developing some product web application.
So what do you hope to work on next?
um, yeah, hopefully I'll get to work with some AI aspect with the within Meta because they
How,
do.
yeah, that's another question I have. How heavily is Meta utilizing AI right now?
It's been rolling out internally as well. A lot of tools are being integrated with AI, like the code reviews are of, of getting attached to AI, where you can see some AI generated comments and even a whole. They call it a diff here. I guess like it's like a pull request in GitHub. Uh, that
Right.
It's they're starting to generate things for you as well.
So is it getting pretty detailed, like the level of complexity that the AI can do?
It's more of the integration surfaces. The quality of it hasn't improved much in my like limited what is it contact with it. Like
Right.
it's being used in more places, but the quality of the content is still pretty lacking.
Yeah, so I guess with artificial intelligence, they talk a lot about AGI,
Hmm.
artificial general intelligence, and how like we haven't reached that yet.
Yeah, I don't think we've reached that just yet.
Yeah,
Um,
like the level where the AI is sentient.
mhm. Yeah, sentient is like we can't even agree on the definition of it. So
Right.
it's saying one thing is sentient is still debatable. But like
Like a lot of the stuff I've heard is more so just described as machine learning.
yeah, it's machine learning. But then like when how sophisticated a network like a neural network have to be before you consider it's sentient, right? It
Or like they
can
call
be.
it in futurism, I think they call it the tipping point or the
Mhm.
singularity.
Yeah, whereas, but even if it's not smart, it can still be sentient, right?
Right.
Like,
It should be interesting to see how everything rolls, like how fast we get to that artificial general intelligence.
yeah, with all the race against each other
Well,
across the
that's the
world.
thing. It's like, U.S. versus China,
Yeah, like everyone is
probably
racing
versus
towards it.
Russia. Like everyone's like trying to get it first, get it first. So like,
Mhm.
they have the main like stranglehold on it. They can do what they want with it before everyone else gets a turn.
Yeah, and with Meta opening all the like giving out all the models as an open source, it's just gonna accelerate it.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Have you been really enjoying your time at Meta? Would you like to stay there for like most of your career?
Yeah, I think so. The the benefit is good. The work is manageable right now, and I don't see any other place beating the competition at the
I
same rate.
imagine I imagine the compensation's pretty competitive.
Yeah. So, if possible, I'd like to, but if there's opportunity to advance my career somewhere else, I would look at that. But I don't
So
see it.
maybe like a Amazon or Netflix.
Yeah, Google, Netflix, Airbnb, um, any of them could be good, but I don't know. It seems like the market is opening back up a little bit, so
Right.
hopefully there's some good signs coming up soon.
No, but it sounds like you like what you're working with now. You're happy with the
Mhm.
compensation, so no reason to jump ship anytime soon.
Yeah, we do hit a clip after 4 years, so that would be when I'll start seriously considering that position. But up until
Right.
then,
Very cool. Very cool. I think that's all the questions that I have. Kevin, did you have anything?
he might have tuned out.
Oh, I don't know if you got Kevin. Did you get disconnected?
No, I don't have any questions.
Awesome.
Do you want to leave our listeners any advice?
I think I've given most of the advice that I have. Just keep on.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't let this environment discourage you. If you are truly enjoying what you're doing, just keep doing it, and hopefully it's gonna pick up soon.
Like eventually the blocks will kind of fall into place.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I don't see like software being obsolete anytime soon.
Right, because they talk about AI replacing roles, but I don't think, I think at first it'll probably replace stuff like front end, but
Hmm.
it's going to be a lot more time that's going to pass before they can like replicate databases or like, fully optimized databases. I think that's like a bit in the future still at this point.
Yeah, I think if it gets to that point, there's a lot more things to worry about than just your career.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hopefully, I've given some value to your program here.
Well, absolutely. No, we appreciate it.
All right, you have a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one, guys.
All right, take